Welcome back to Hair Smarter, guys, the podcast where we cut through the noise and talk about what it actually takes to thrive behind the chair and maybe a little bit behind a computer screen. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Sarajane, and today we're talking about something almost every stylist deals with, even if they don't say it out loud.
In fact, most of them probably don't say it out loud. So we're talking about how to not take everything personally at work.
Which sounds really easy until you've got a client making a face in the mirror, or a coworker giving you weird energy, or a manager correcting you in a tone you didn't enjoy.
Ooh, exactly. And in our industry, where the work is creative, personal, and visible, one comment or one off moment can feel way bigger than it actually is.
So this episode is not about you becoming cold.
And it's not really about pretending you don't care.
It's about learning how to care without letting every hard moment turn into a statement about your worth.
Yeah, because if you don't learn this skill, salon life gets heavier than it needs to be. All right, so let's get into why it actually feels so personal. I want to start with, if it's okay with you, why this happens. Because I think a lot of stylists quietly shame themselves for this. They think, why am I so sensitive? Or why do I spiral so fast? But a lot of this is actually really human. There's a concept in cognitive behavioral therapy. So let's call that CBT because it's a mouthful. That actually helps explain it. CBT is a structured, present-oriented form of therapy built around the idea that our thoughts shape how we feel and how we actually act. And the Beck Institute describes it as supported by a large body of research.
And one pattern inside that way of thinking is what people often call personalization.
Okay, so that's basically when something happens and your brain immediately makes it about you.
And not just because you know for sure what's going on, and not because you've slowed down and checked the facts.
Just because your brain wants a fast explanation.
So in salon language, a client says, this feels shorter than I expected it to feel. And your brain goes, cool, this is now a full-on crisis moment about my talent and my worth.
I mean, we've all had that. Exactly, right? Suddenly it becomes, I messed up. They hate it. I should have done it better. I'm the worst, blah, blah, blah. And you just keep going.
Yeah. Or your coworker is quiet and the story becomes, oh shit, they're mad at me.
Or your manager gives you a correction and it turns into, they don't think I'm good enough. Maybe it turns into, I know better. It turns into all of those things.
And that's the part that matters. Personalization is not just being emotional, it's taking something that may still be neutral, mixed, or unclear and turning it into judgment on yourself.
And sometimes it's not even close to true. The client may just be adjusting. The coworker may be overwhelmed, or the manager may just be managing.
Yeah. And when you personalize too fast, you skip curiosity and go straight to self-protection.
And then there's the other piece, the negativity bias, right? The APA dictionary describes negativity bias as the tendency for negative events or feedback to affect us way more strongly than equally positive ones do.
Which is very annoying and very real.
Because you can have a full day of great clients, strong work, nice or amazing conversations, compliments, good tips, rebooks, all of it. And one weird interaction becomes the thing that you take home.
Yeah, that's the thing that hits you when you're driving home.
Or maybe that's the thing that hits you in the shower.
Or the thing that wakes you up at 11:30 or 2:30 in the morning at night when you should be asleep.
Yeah, exactly. You're not replaying the 5 people who loved their hair, loved you, told you were the best stylist in the world. Your brain grabs that negative thing because it reads it as important.
So when you put those things together, personalization and negativity bias,
It makes sense that one hard moment at work can feel enormous.
and you're not weak,
And you're actually not dramatic.
but you do need skills.
Can you think of a day that, well, I can think of many days, but can you think of a day that, like, you had a mostly great day and then it got hijacked by one weird comment, client reaction, or an awkward salon moment that you can think of?
Yeah, I mean, I think like you said, I think it happens probably several times a week and several times a day, maybe potentially. I think more so, of course, when we're younger and we don't
Mm.
know how to handle these situations a lot. But yeah, I mean, I can't think of one specific thing that I remember recently because now, of course, I have skills.
Yeah, we also have
to-
perimenopause and forget everything, so it's
oh,
fine.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because now the
I mean,
20-minute commute to get home is like my way to detox the day.
yeah. Yeah, I take it really seriously now, mostly because of the things that we learned here, but when I was younger specifically, I mean, I don't have a manager now because 'cause I'm my own manager, but, like, when the manager would correct something, that irritated me a lot, and it started out with me being like, "Well, that's not right, I'm right." But then it very quickly went to, "Oh, well, I'm not doing it right. I'm not, like, the perfect employee. I'm not showing up the way they want. Oh my god, is my job at risk? Oh my god, am I not gonna get new clients booked from the front desk?" Like, it can spiral like that very quickly.
Oh, yeah, or even with the client, you're just, like,
Mm,
constantly thinking, "Oh my god, did I say something wrong? Did I do something wrong? Did I, like, not perform well?" It's endless.
yeah. And you can tell, like, when they don't like it right away, and you're like, "Uh-oh. Did I listen right? Fuck, did I do it wrong?" Like, all of those things, and then what are they gonna think, and this and that, and the interaction gets played over on loop again and again and again and again, and then you kinda miss all the good stuff before and after it?
Yeah, so true. So true.
Yeah. So, great days can get hijacked, and I think once we understand that, it takes a little bit of the shame out of it when you start to think about, like, that the negative stuff always is, like, front and center, and it's just the way your brain works because, I don't know, 10,000 years ago, maybe they were cutting hair, I don't know, but the negative thing or the thing that, didn't feel right when they were with their tribe or, like, trying to hunt, like, those were the things that were dangerous, so, I think that's left over
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And understanding all of this is just only the beginning of it.
because this gets even more intense when your work is creative.
Yeah. And why does this hit creatives harder? This hits our industry especially hard because hair is personal work.
Right? It comes out of your hands, your eyes, your taste, and really your decision making. The result is instantly visible, and people are literally wearing what you did.
Yeah. And you're touching people all day long.
Mm,
Of
mm,
course,
yes.
feedback can feel personal.
And the bigger issue is that over time, a lot of creatives start to fuse their work with their identity.
Yeah.
And once that happens, every correction feels heavier than it should. The APA's 2023 Work in America survey focused on psychological health and well being at work, reflecting how strongly workers care about emotionally healthy workplaces and how much work stress affects well being.
Yeah. And for creatives, part of protecting our well being is learning that feedback about your work is not always feedback about you as a person.
In fact, it rarely is, right? And that sounds obvious when we say it out loud.
But it doesn't always feel obvious in the moment.
Not at all. Because if your haircut feels like an extension of you, then a haircut critique feels like a critique of you.
Yeah. And if a client feels unsure, you might feel rejected.
If a manager corrects you, you might actually feel small.
Yeah. And if a coworker feels off, you might feel excluded.
Mm. And once you see worth gets tied to every salon interaction, the job becomes emotionally exhausting.
Oh my god, and not sustainable at all.
Ugh, at all.
And you don't just have a hard day, you start feeling like you're the problem, and then it just perpetuates and goes on and on.
Yeah, and you end up feeling like you have to manage all of these different situations, and so you never actually get a break. You never really rest, right? So maybe you have a manager that's like, I don't know, a little spicy, or maybe you have coworkers that like, they're like a little spicy too. I mean, I don't know, but really it's all of those things. So you're like, what's the mood they're gonna be in today, right? And, like, how does that affect me? And how can I control something so that that doesn't happen? And then you get exhausted from that. I mean, I can remember, there was a very small salon that I worked at maybe 10 years ago, and the owner of that salon was like she was a little spicy. She's a little all over the place. Like, who knows what her mood was gonna be when she came in? Like, was it gonna be like, she's bossy and bitchy? Is she really quiet and withdrawn? And your first reaction is to, like, jump in and get to the bottom. "Oh, how are you? What happened? What's going on? Are you okay?" But, like, you don't need to do that because it's actually at least I felt like I needed to do that, and actually, it's none of my business. I'm there to do my clients, right? But it does, it really affects you, and then that overhanging mood, whatever that is, whatever that interaction was that kind of threw you off, that could sit over your whole day, or maybe you kinda pull yourself out of it. I've had times where I pull myself out of it while I'm at work, but then when I'm going home, I'm like, "Ooh, I wonder why so and so was like that," and then you think about it, and then you're not actually present at home, so,
Oh, so
yeah, I mean, I can think of a lot of times that happens.
so true. I remember having a manager that was probably not happy in their own job, and that
Mm,
sort of perpetuated
yeah.
and like has a mood over the whole space and the whole salon. And then
Yeah.
every day when you go into work, I just remember feeling like this is heavy and this is not fun to be around. And it's really hard to do your work and pay attention and be present with your clients all day long because it's like a black cloud over the place, you know?
And working in a place like that and having that kinda energy, like, at some point, did you make it about yourself? Were you like, "Well, maybe I did this, or I can do this to, like, make it better, or I did this to make it worse, or why aren't they happy?" Like, any of that?
Well, yeah, because then you're like walking on eggshells and you're like trying
Mm.
to make well, I remember feeling like I had to be extra special, extra this or extra that just to try to mediate the vibe in the space. And that's not my responsibility, like you said.
Yeah. Yeah. I can remember doing that too. Like, if I'm the perfect employee and I book the most clients and this and that, and if everybody's great and everybody rebooks, then like maybe that'll help the situation at least in the way that I feel with interacting with that manager. Um, but then it doesn't matter because it still goes down this whole thing. And then they're like, oh, is she feeling competitive because I book more clients than her and like all these different things. So, yeah, it's like you can just really tumble into things when you're trying to, like, manage other people and other things, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So, let's make this real.
So, where does this actually show up in salon life?
Well, I mean, clients are the obvious one.
And clients bring a lot with them when they sit down in the chair, like expectations, insecurity, stress, fear about change, bad past experiences, bad communication, and sometimes impossible reference photos.
Oops, Pinterest has entered the chat. And I guess the point is when a client reacts, that reaction is not automatically a clean measurement of your talent.
Yeah, and sometimes it's useful feedback. Sometimes it's surprise, sometimes it's emotion, and sometimes they just need a minute to catch up to what they're seeing.
Mm. And if you take it personally too fast, you stop solving the problem and start spiraling instead.
Yeah, and then you're not present for
Mm-mm.
client and what their actual needs are in that moment because you're in your head and you're like taking it all too personal.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a big one. A big lesson for me was to learn that some people's brains are not moving as fast as mine are. And I just maybe created something and felt like I executed really well. And sometimes they look at it and need a second to catch up. And so, in my earlier days, it was like, why don't they look at it and they're like, oh my God, I love it. You're the best stylist. You fixed all my problems in and out of the salon and you know what I mean? Like, you're waiting for that reaction from everyone, and everyone's not gonna give you that reaction. And even worse, what if I've had clients that look at it and they're like, this isn't right. But there's a million reasons why it may not be right. Maybe they asked for something and it wasn't really right for them and we didn't get to the right spot. Maybe they were envisioning something for the past few months and like wanted something else. Maybe they're like, "Oh, fuck, am I going to be able to get this back in a ponytail?" Like all of those things can be going through their head. And
Totally.
that's just the hair stuff. We're not even talking about what's going on in their life.
Yeah. Yeah. And with the hair stuff again, we have to remember that this is something that we do like 10, 12, 15 times a day. We are
Mm.
making changes so rapidly and so fast with multiple people day in and day out. And some people only get their haircut twice a year. So
Oh, that's a good point too.
it's a big deal for them, and we need to be present for them and not necessarily like, oh, it's no big deal, right? Because we do this
Yeah.
time and it's hair and it's going to grow. And it's important that we like hold space and take a pause.
And our risk tolerance is much different than theirs, right?
Yeah.
Like they're thinking, oh my God, am I going to be able to style this? What am I going to do in the morning before work? Does this work? Well, I'm sure this is everywhere, but especially in New York City, like, does this kind of haircut work in my work environment? Like, there's a lot of like unsaid dress code things that go on with your hair, and that's important.
Yeah.
Does this make me look younger? Does this make me look older? Does this make me look smarter? Like all of those things that like come up for people, they're trying to, file through that as quickly as possible. So, you know, I'm sure when I'm not happy about something, it's written all over my face too. And that's the case for clients as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. So how does this show up with coworkers?
Mm.
Coworkers are trickier because they're usually not being direct.
Yeah, like it's a tone, maybe it's silence, it's a weird vibe, not being included, somebody's being short, all of those types of things.
Yeah, and your brain hates missing information.
Yeah, so what does it do? It fills in the blank, usually with something unhelpful.
Like, they're annoyed with me.
Or, man, I must have done something.
When the truth just might be that they could be stressed, distracted, embarrassed, overwhelmed, or carrying something that has nothing to do with you.
And that doesn't mean you ignore patterns forever, right? Like, you got to pay attention, but one weird mood does not always need to become a personal crisis.
No. I feel like if you're feeling off with a coworker, address it. Like, hey, are you good? Because also sometimes we're lazy with work, right? It's not like we can always communicate the things that are going on.
Yeah, and when you're stressed, I mean, I know for myself, I'm very much like a pretty low key person and like pretty chatty. When I feel overwhelmed and stressed, it's like I just got to like keep it in my head, keep it moving and keep going cuz it's like I get quiet and like try to figure it out on my own and kind of pull it all in. So I'm sure if I was in a situation and someone would be like, "Oh my god, what did I do?" and you're like, "No, you didn't do anything. I just need to get this stuff done." Like, that could be tough to hear.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Totally.
How do you react to stress? And has anyone ever come up to you and been like, what's going on?"
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. I get in my head a lot. And
Mm.
so for me, I just like put my head down and want to work, and that could not be perceived well when you work in a big salon with lots of other staff and employees
I
and
mean, you're
also friends,
literally in one
right?
room for, like, 10 hours every day with people. So, yeah, this is a big one.
Yeah.
So, what about managers and owners? This is always a tricky one. Managers and owners can hit the deepest because there's a little bit more weight there, right? Their feedback can affect how secure you feel, how supported you feel, and how confident you feel.
Yeah. And because of that, even a normal correction can feel really loaded.
But managers are usually looking at like a bigger picture, client retention, standards, timing systems, team dynamics, business pressure.
Yeah. And not every note is a personal attack. Sometimes it's just leadership.
Now, does that mean every leader communicates well? Mm.
No, definitely not.
But it is still a huge professional skill to separate the content of the feedback from the sting of how it landed.
Yeah, that's really important right there.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like most managers, and this just might be my opinion, but I feel like most managers are, if they come from inside the salon and they're promoted, they're like a hairdresser that manages as well. Those are not the skill sets that you started out with, right? And managing actually is a skill set. So,
Yeah.
I do think a lot of managers are thrown into that position without having the proper training to do it. And they kind of have to learn on the fly. So imagine that pressure, having to learn on the fly, pay attention to numbers, pay attention to all the personalities in your salon, and your own personal shit that goes along with it. That's hard.
Yeah, so true.
What about like product reps who come in the salon or outside people?
Yeah, there's those guys too. They're there and they bring in their own kind of energy too, right? Because they're just like business. They need to get in there and they need to get their work done.
Yeah, even like educators, platform artists, brand people, all of it, right? They often come in with strong opinions, strong energy, and very clear goals. They are there to promote, persuade, teach, or sell. Emotional delicacy is not always the first thing on the menu.
No, and that's a really nice way to say that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Mm. But it matters because if somebody like that says something blunt, you have to remember where the context is coming from.
Otherwise, every strong opinion starts to feel personal as well.
Yeah. And if all of this is happening around you all day,
What do you actually do with it?
that's where the 5 skills come in.
Oh, I love these so much. I'm so glad we spent the time to find these. Okay. So here are 5 skills that can help you. Skill number 1, name the story. This is the foundation. Name the story you're telling yourself. This connects really well to self awareness. So, Harvard Business Review's Emotional Intelligence series describes self awareness as the bedrock of emotional intelligence, the ability to more clearly see your own patterns, strengths, and shortcomings.
Yeah. And in real life, this means asking, what am I making this to mean right now?
Not just what happened, but what meaning am I actually attaching to it?
Yeah. So my client is quiet right now. You could be telling yourself, oh my God, she hates it.
Or my manager corrected me becomes I'm failing.
Yeah. Or my coworker didn't say hi becomes, oh, they're mad at me.
That extra layer, that little part at the end, that's the story.
Yeah. And if you don't catch it, you react to it like it's a fact.
Can you think of any time that you did this? Like a specific,
Oh, I
I
mean,
mean,
I do it
I
all
do
the
it every
time.
day, but
Yeah. Not just at work and not just, with coworkers and clients. This comes into everything and into our personal relationships also.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is interesting, and it's normally like, "Oh," I find it most when clients come in and they have kinda like okay, I'll give you this example. There's this one client that I have, and I've been doing her for a couple years, and she's perfectly fine. Like, I see her for 45 minutes 4 times a year, that's it. But, like, when I see her on the books, literally, my stomach just, like, gets in knots. She has never done anything mean to me. She has never showed up late to an appointment. She, like, pays up her money. She buys product. She does all the things that I want her to do as a client. But literally, it's just her tone is a little off.
Oh,
Like, I always feel like she's kinda judging what we're doing. My first thought before I'm like, "Okay, get it together," when I look at her hair to do it again is like, "Oh my god, she's gonna hate this. What's gonna happen when she hates this? Here we go," right? Because it's just, like, her tone. So I've made it something. I just think she's like that as a person, but I've made it something about myself. And I've made it like, "Oh, man, I better nail this haircut or it's gonna be hell to pay," right? But
yeah.
that has never been my experience with her, ever. So it's funny how you fill something in for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and, like, I feel like sometimes that happens a lot with, like, first-time clients, especially if
Mm,
you don't know them very well and they're quiet and they wanna relax and, like, not do the over talking and the oversharing that you have with, regular clients. I often am like, "Oh my god, do they like it? Oh my god, did I say
yeah,
something wrong?"
should I talk? What
Yeah,
should I say? No, should I leave them alone?
like, should I ask the question? Should I leave them alone? Yeah, like, all of the
Isn't it
things come in.
your
Yeah,
mind really goes into overdrive, right? Like, it's like, "Well, this too is this weird or is this cool? Am I being cool?" Some people offer quiet things. Should I do that? Is this what this is? What am I doing? Is it okay? Should I talk now? Has it been too long? What about you just go on and on and on.
yeah. So,
Mm,
let's move into removing the story.
great,
Second
great.
skill would be separating what actually happened from what you added to it.
Right. So the fact would be, let's try it like this. The fact is, my client said this feels shorter than expected. The story is, she thinks I'm incompetent, can't cut
Yeah.
hair.
And so the fact here is my manager said my consultation could have been stronger. The story I could tell myself is they regret hiring me.
Or maybe one about your coworker. My coworker is really quiet today. That's the fact. The story is, oh, they have a problem with me.
Yeah. And this is such a helpful shift because sometimes the actual issue is something small and workable.
And the story is what turns into that emotional avalanche, right?
Yeah, it's so important that we deal with the issue and not the made up story.
Mm. So maybe let's go into skill number 3, the zoom out, right? This third skill is the zoom out. This is how you fight negativity bias. Ooh, this is going to be a good one. You ask bigger questions.
Yeah.
Is this a pattern or is this a moment? Is this actually serious or did it just hit an insecurity? Hmm.
Yeah.
Will I see this the same way tomorrow?
And zooming out doesn't mean you're minimizing the real problems.
No, it just means that you're putting things back into proportion.
Yeah, because a lot of times what feels huge in the moment is really just one uncomfortable part of the day.
Yeah, and not the whole story of the day, and definitely not the whole story of you.
Yeah, because basically, is this a fire or is it just hot?
Ooh, that is excellent.
Yeah.
Um, have you had this experience before? Where it's such a big deal, like, right away, and then you look at it the next day and you're like, "Oh,
Yeah, I mean, that happens all the time. I feel like all these things we're talking about are like just
right?"
little bits of the day. Yeah.
Well, I will say it's funny, like, with our education brand, right? Like, both of us have said this at different times, but, like, when we first started shooting our work, for the things that we're building, through itsthebreakroom.org, go over and check it out.
Yeah.
Uh, it was interesting because we would look at it and, like, we would be like our first instinct of the pictures was like, "Oh my god, this is awful. These are the worst pictures I've ever seen. Look at that. There's a hair out of place. There's this, there's that. This is no one will ever wanna look at this ever." And then when you look at it the next day or the second time you come around to it, you're like, "Oh, actually, that looks really good.
Yeah.
We're good." So it is funny how it can change like that, you know?
Yeah. It's so true. It's so true. I mean, I've had some crazy experiences with clients that, not a lot, but I can think of 2 in my whole career where people, like, jump up, and it is a big deal to them. I'm not minimizing their experience by any
Sure.
means, but, like, your reaction and the way you feel about it, it's just in that moment, you have to deal with the situation, and it's not something you need to take home because It's their experience and it's what they're going through most of the time,
Mm,
right? It's not really
mm,
about us, the things that happen with clients, right?
yeah,
Really about what's happening in their lives personally,
yeah,
that it's made them exacerbate the situation, I find, right?
yeah, for sure,
So it's
for
important for us
sure.
to remember that and be like, it's not about me,
Yeah.
it's theirs.
And I actually really love that you said that because it is something where you kind of have to say it to yourself in your head. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
This isn't actually about me.
Yeah.
The more you say that, the more you like can separate the two, right?
Yes. Yes. So that's on to the next skill is separate your identity from your work. And this one's big because you are not your last haircut.
And you're not your last consultation, you're not your last awkward interaction, you're not your last correction, no rebook or weird moment.
Your work matters, standards matter, and growth matters.
But if every work outcome becomes a referendum on who you are, you either get defensive or defeated, and neither one helps you learn.
So the healthier frame is that didn't go how I wanted, and I'm still okay.
Or maybe you can say, I can learn from this without collapsing around it.
Yeah. And this is such different energy.
It keeps you teachable, I think.
Yeah.
So, this is my favorite part of this entire thing, the thing we're going to talk about next. So, if you're driving, pull over. You want to respond and not react. Okay. The fifth skill is where all of this leads. It's respond, don't react. A reaction is fast, it's emotional, it's protective, and usually happens before you've actually understood the situation.
Yeah. And a response is slower, more intentional, and more useful.
A reaction to a client saying, I don't love this, is panicking, over apologizing, or getting defensive before you even know what they mean.
And a response is, okay, thank you for telling me. Tell me what feels off so we can work through this.
A reaction to a coworker's weird move is getting weird back.
A response is staying steady and not assuming.
A reaction to a manager's note is instant defensiveness. I have a lot of experience with that in my
Yeah.
early years.
A response is hearing the note, asking a clarifying question if needed, and deciding what's useful.
And this matters. Responding does not mean being passive, and it doesn't mean letting people walk all over you.
It just means your trigger is not driving the car.
Yeah. The best thing I learned when people, whether it's in my personal life or whether it's in, coworker relationships or whether it's in, client relationships, is when someone says something and I feel that thing happen where I want to react to it, is to just like breathe in that moment and to say, okay, I hear you, thanking them for saying what it is, if you can. "Oh, okay. Can you tell me more about that?" Or whatever. That actually slows everything down, at least for me as a person, because I feel like I could react very quickly to things if I didn't learn those skills.
Yeah, it's really important that the pause makes a huge difference. Like, take a deep breath and pause. Another one of my favorite techniques is if, like, you don't understand, like, wait, can you tell me what you mean by that again? Sometimes there's a different meaning behind it than
Yeah,
what
which
they're
is
actually
actually,
saying.
I'm gonna say most of the time, don't you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like,
Ab-
if people are like, "Oh, it's too short," or, "Well, let's go through a real world example."
Yeah,
Can you think of one?
let's walk through one all the way through.
Okay. So a client says, I don't love this. First, personalization may kick in, right? You're like, fuck, I failed. I fucked this up. Fuck, right? Then negativity bias may kick in. This is the only thing that matters right now. This is the worst. I'm the worst hairdresser. You know what? I did have a hard time with graduated bobs, and she's getting a graduated bob. Obviously, I haven't learned to cut it yet, and I'm 30 years in.
So first, let's name the story. So the story you're telling yourself could be, I'm telling myself this means that I'm bad at my job.
Then let's do the facts versus story. The fact is, she said she doesn't love it. The story is that I'm incompetent and never learned how to cut a graduated bow.
So let's zoom out. This is one moment of feedback. It's not the final statement about your career.
Then separate identity from work. This is a work problem to solve right now in this moment, but it's not proof that I'm a bad stylist.
Yeah. And then you can respond, thank you for telling me. Can you show me what feels off so we can work through this together?
That's the shift. One path goes to panic, the
Yeah.
other stays in professionalism.
Yeah. Professionalism usually gets the better result.
Yeah. And if we had to boil this whole episode down into one tool you can remember in the middle of your busy day, it would be this: pause, name the story, and then choose your response.
Yeah. And we want to slow that down a little bit because it sounds simple, but each part is doing something really important.
When you pause, it means creating one beat between the trigger and your behavior, one breath, 1 second,
Yes.
one question. Just enough space for your nervous system is not making every decision for you. Because when you're triggered, you're in protection mode, not clarity mode.
Yeah. And you do not need your trigger writing emails, answering clients,
Okay.
or running your face.
Okay, fantastic. Correct. So then the second part of this is name the story. Ask, what am I telling myself that this means?
Yeah. Maybe it's they think I'm stupid,
Maybe it's, I'm not respected.
or maybe it's I can't do anything right.
Naming it matters because once you say the story out loud or even just to yourself, you stop being unconsciously run by it. Mm.
And then comes the biggest part is choose your response.
This means asking, what is the most grounded, useful, professional next move here? Not the most emotional move, not the move that proves you're hurt, and not the move that makes the other person instantly understand your inner world. The next useful move.
So sometimes that response is curiosity, right? Like, what do you mean? Or can you tell me more?
Sometimes it's neutrality. I'm not going to assume yet.
And sometimes it's ownership. You're right. I could have done that better.
Ooh, that's a big one, right? But also sometimes, like, it's a boundary. I'm happy to talk about this, but not if I'm being spoken to like that.
Yeah. And sometimes it's restraint. I do not need to answer this from my trigger.
Because not every response has to be a speech. Sometimes the best response is simply not escalating the moment.
Yeah. Choosing your response is really choosing who you want to be in that moment and how you
Oh,
show up.
that is it right there.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right? There was one mentor of mine many years ago that was always like, you want to keep your side of the street clean. And I
Mm,
was like, what? But
mm,
it is a really good saying,
yeah.
right?
So,
Like, why do you want to make it messy? Why do you want to cross the street and make, all the things? Like,
mhm,
what is the next response? And however you can get that moment to get your head around like what the appropriate response is, do it. Deep breath. Thank you for sharing. Any of those things.
yeah. This is not about me in your head.
Mm-mm. Yeah, this is not about me. This is not about me. So, like, if you can build this skill, your whole work life is about to change.
Yeah. So you get less drained, less reactive, less stuck in your own head.
You stop carrying comments, moods, and moments that were never meant to define you.
And you become a steadier stylist, also a steadier person, a better team,
Hmm. Hmm.
and a more resilient creative.
Oof. Not because nothing bothers you anymore.
But because everything doesn't own you anymore.
And that is such a big difference.
So, if this episode resonated with you, share it with another stylist who you think might need it.
Yeah. And honestly, like this is something that we all struggle with, whether you're 2 years in or 25 years in. Um, so if you need to like revisit this podcast episode, please do. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube. And I guess we will see you next time on Hair Smarter. Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. See you later.